Hello friends, very good morning. Welcome to the Hindu editorial analysis. I am extremely sorry that I could not do editorial on Saturday and also on Monday. So this will not be repeated, don't worry. I'll continue doing it daily from today onwards. Except on Sundays when the editorial doesn't come, I will do it every day. So let's begin today's editorial. The title says cart before the horse. What does it mean? So, in a bullock cart or in a horse cart, which one comes first? You will have horse first and then there is cart attached to the horse. So, horse generally comes first and then cart comes later. But it is the other way around, right? The title is other way around, cart before the horse, which means you are doing something that should be done later first. The second action is being done first and the first action is being done second. So you are reversing the actions. In which context is this title used? Look at this. The police should not arrest first and then fish for a possible offense. Very important sentence. Let's say there is a police officer and there is a person. Today what is happening? Under political pressures, these police officers are arresting the person first. They are arresting the person first and then they are looking for evidence. Which one should happen first? You should first look for evidence. Only based on the evidence you must arrest. But these people are arresting the person first and then fish means search. They are trying to search. They are trying to search for a possible offense. Right? Offense is an act of guilt, something wrong. So under what section should I book him? This is what they are thinking. They are first arresting and then they are trying to implicate him in some or the other offense. This is something wrong that is happening today. Two recent pronouncements. Pronouncements means public announcements or judgments. One, a judicial order, and another, a public speech by the Chief Justice of India, have drawn attention to the manner in which bail law, this is the keyword, operates in the country. Right? The manner in which bail law operates in the country. Do we have a separate bail law in India? The answer is no. Does any other country have a separate bail act or bail law in their country? The answer is yes, which is United Kingdom. United Kingdom has a separate bail act. But in India, we do not have a separate bail act, but we follow several provisions under Criminal Procedure Code. We are following several provisions under Criminal Procedure Code and Supreme Court guidelines in various cases. In various cases, Supreme Court had given certain guidelines. We follow these guidelines as well as provisions in the Criminal Procedure Code with respect to actions related to bail. But we do not have any separate bail act in India. But recently, in one of the judgments, Supreme Court, on the other hand, Chief Justice of India, in one of his public speeches, they spoke about the importance of bail law. They spoke about how the bail law operates in India, how the process of applying and giving bail operates in India, and what are the different flaws that it has and how it needs to be reformed. While the Supreme Court in Satyendra Kumar Antil versus CBI, this is the case. In this case, Supreme Court recently gave its guidelines, has sought to expand the scope for the grant of early bail to those arrested without a sufficient cause. Right? So we have two people, right? On one side we have Supreme Court of India, on the other hand you have Chief Justice of India in a public speech. Both of them spoke about bail. What did Supreme Court speak? Supreme Court in this particular case, Satyendra Kumar Antil versus CBI case, has sought means tried to expand the scope for the grant of early bail. For the grant of early bail. The scope for grant of early bail should be expanded. That's what Supreme Court was trying to do. To whom? To those arrested without sufficient cause. There are cases when police arrest people without sufficient cause. The CJ N.V. Ramana has bemoaned the injury to personal liberty caused by hasty arrests, hurdles in the way of releasing suspects on bail, and the prolonged incarceration of those under trial. Very important sentence. Very, very important sentence. Look at this. The CJI, the Chief Justice of India, N.V. Ramana, has bemoaned. Bemoan means, what is the meaning of bemoan? Bemoan means express sorrow. Bemoan means express sorrow. Sorrow means a feeling of, a bad feeling, a negative feeling, express sorrow. He expressed sorrow in what? About what? The injury to personal liberty. Today, the personal liberty is getting damaged. The personal liberty of a person is getting affected. Why? If someone comes and arrests you without sufficient cause, what are they infringing upon? What are they getting into? They are getting into your personal liberty. Right? You are losing your liberty. That is one thing that N.V. Ramana felt bad about, and it was by hasty arrest. Hasty means speedy, without much thought, something that you do immediately, something that you do with a lot of speed. What happens in Indian society? Think about it. Politicians, especially those in power, always try to take revenge on those against them or those in opposition parties. In order to take revenge on the opposition party leaders, the governments of the day, they frequently resort to using the police workforce, the police force. Governments abuse police force for their personal political gains. So police, under the political pressure, go and arrest the opposition party leaders without even having sufficient cause or sufficient reason or sufficient grounds. That is what is happening. And they are arresting them in such a way that they don't get bail immediately, or they are denying bail immediately. Even the magistrates under the political influence are denying bail to those people who are arrested under political pressure. That is what which is happening today. So that is why N.V. Ramana is expressing his sorrow. He is feeling bad about it. So personal liberty is getting attacked in India because of this hasty arrest. Hasty means without sufficient evidence, without sufficient cause, just because there is political pressure, you are going ahead and arresting. And hurdles means obstacles in the way of releasing suspects on bail. So they are not even getting bail immediately. There are a lot of hurdles being put forth. And prolonged incarceration of those under trial. Trial means, what is the meaning of trial? Investigation, right? So there are two words. I would like to highlight these two words. Pay attention here. So probe and trial. What is the meaning of these two words? If a police or CBI or CID, they investigate a case. We call it probe. Probe means investigate. Right? If you put someone, an accused, in front of court, and the judge listens to arguments from the both sides, and this entire process is called trial. So trial is something that happens in court. Probe is something that CBI and police and others do. Probe is nothing but your investigation, and trial is something that happens in the court. The entire process of listening to the accused, listening to the police officer, listening to public prosecutor, listening to defense lawyer, and pronouncing judgment, this entire process is called trial. Right? That is the meaning of trial. It is not our normal trial, T-R-Y, trial, no, not that. This is a different word. You need to understand from the legal context. So there are people who are under trial, which means the judgment is not yet out, because of which there is a prolonged incarceration. Incarceration means being put in jail. Prolonged means delayed, long, for a long period. In India, what happens? Think about it. It's not just about reading the editorial. I want you to connect it with the real world. What happens in India? In many cases, there are poor people who do not have access to legal aid. They are generally put in jail for petty cases, and the trial of the case doesn't happen immediately. We have seen such case in recent movie Jai Bhim. Right? Surya fought for one such candidate, right? So these poor people, they are put in jail, and the trial keeps happening, and there is no judgment pronounced. Courts also don't take these cases on priority, and they continue to remain in jails. even though the offense is very small, even though in sometimes they are innocent, but since the trial is not over, the judgment has not come out, they continue to remain in jails. This is a big problem that India is facing today. Law is not same for poor and rich. The rich are able to subvert or avoid or play with the law, whereas the poor are suffering because they do not have equal access or equal treatment compared to the rich. That is why in India they say, show me the man, I will show you the law. The law is not same for everyone. Show me the man, then I will show you the law. If you are bringing a rich person, law behaves in a different way. If you are bringing a poor person, the law behaves in a different way. So law is not same for all. That's what they are trying to say. And this is something CJI N.V. Ramana has expressed his concern or sorrow about. The expressions of concern are a timely reminder. What is a reminder? Reminder is something that reminds you, something that tells you to regimes. Regimes means the governments that have been using their police powers, governments that have been using their police powers to crack down on critics. What are the governments doing today? I spoke about it. They are cracking down on critics, activists, and those not politically aligned with them. Very important. There are many people who are not politically aligned with them. Are you getting this? There are many people who are not politically aligned with them. If you are opposite, if you are not aligned with me, if you are an activist working against the government, if you are a critic criticizing the actions of the government, then I will use my police force to take revenge. This is how the governments are doing today, and Chief Justice of India is trying to remind them whatever you are doing is wrong. However, there is an irony in courts batting for personal liberty and lamenting indiscriminate arrests on the one hand, but routinely denying bail or postponing bail hearings on the other hand. Very interesting sentence. There is an irony. What is the meaning of the word irony? Very, very important. What is the meaning of the word irony? Irony means a contradiction, an inherent contradiction. What is the contradiction here? On one hand, courts are batting means supporting. They are supporting personal liberty and lamenting indiscriminate arrests. What is the meaning of indiscriminate? Without any reason, without any logic. You are doing something without any discrimination, without any, not discrimination, you are doing something indiscriminately, which means without sufficient basis. And these kind of arrests, and the court is lamenting. Lamenting means again same thing, expressing sorrow. And it is also supporting personal liberty. This is on one hand. On the other hand, the same courts are denying bails. Whenever a bail application comes, courts are routinely denying them and are postponing bail hearings. And they are postponing bail hearings. If you are postponing a bail hearing, what happens? The person will continue to remain in jail. Until it comes to the hearing, he will continue to remain in jail. On one hand, you are supporting personal liberty. On the other hand, you are postponing bail hearings or declining bail petitions. So this is the irony that is inherent in today's judicial system. Nevertheless, the verdict, which means judgment, reiterate means to say something again, reiterating the major principles in favor of granting bail and laying down constructive guidelines for arrest is quite valuable. In this recent case, in the CBI case, Supreme Court had laid down certain constructive guidelines for arrest. If you are arresting someone, you must follow these guidelines. And also, it is also reiterated the major principles in favor of granting bail. In Indian law, we say bail is the norm and denying is exception. If someone comes with a bail application, ideally it should be granted unless there is a big issue in granting bail. So granting bail is the norm and denial is an exception. Granting bail should happen something normally, and if you are denying, there has to be a very big reason. That is the rule that we should ideally follow in India. So that is what the Supreme Court said again. So it has reiterated all the major principles in favor of granting bail. For instance, for example, the bench has called for standing orders to adhere to Arnesh Kumar principles. In 2014, there were certain principles, certain guidelines given by Supreme Court, Arnesh Kumar principles, based on sections 41 and 41A of Code of Criminal Procedure. Based on section 41 and 41A of Code of Criminal Procedure, under which a police officer is required to record reasons for arresting an accused and is expected to issue a notice of appearance in cases involving offences that attract a prison term of less than 7 years. Very, very important sentence. Whenever you want to arrest someone, are you getting this? Whenever you want to arrest someone, the police officer must record reasons. He must record reasons as to why he is arresting. First thing. Second thing, the police officer is also expected to issue a notice of appearance. What is the meaning of notice of appearance? What is the meaning of notice of appearance? You must give a notice to the accused, asking him to come and be present in front of you. That is notice of appearance. You should not directly go and arrest. Let them issue a notice of appearance, let them come and attend, and then explain the reasons why you are arresting him, or discuss with him why he has been called to police office. In what kind of cases? In cases which attract prison term of less than 7 years. If it is a rape case, murder case, it's a different scenario. But for smaller offences which attract prison term of less than 5 years, ideally this is the procedure that police is supposed to follow. They must record reasons for arrest. They must also issue a notice. They must also issue a notice of appearance. I hope you have understood the concept of notice of appearance. This is what has been given in Arnesh Kumar 2014 principles. The verdict has other positive aspects as well. In the Supreme Court verdict, it also spoke about some other positive aspects. What are they? What are the other aspects? Setting time limits for disposal of bail. For disposal of bail, you should do it within a certain time limit. You should not take as much time as you want. You should dispose the bail application within certain time limit. And disposal of bail and anticipatory bail applications, and underscoring that an arrest must be made only when actually required. You must arrest only when it is required. You shouldn't arrest someone customarily. Or to prevent the accused from fleeing justice. If the accused is trying to escape from justice, then you can arrest. To prevent that, you can arrest. Or tampering with evidence. If you think that the accused might tamper with the evidence, or damage or change the evidence, then you can arrest. In an interesting contribution, the bench has mooted a separate bail act. Very, very important point. The bench has mooted a separate bail act on the lines of one in United Kingdom to streamline the bail process. Today, the bail process is based on CRPC 4141A as well as certain guidelines given by Supreme Court. So instead of these random provisions, it is better to have a separate bail act on the lines of the one which is there in United Kingdom. United Kingdom has a separate bail act. Similarly, Supreme Court has mooted means proposed or suggested to the government of India to create one separate bail act. It is indeed true that despite the basics of bail law being quite known, we know the basics of bail law. Even in spite of that, especially what is the basics of bail law? Bail is the rule and denial exception. We spoke about it. I use the word norm in place of rule. Bail is the rule. Whenever someone comes with a bail application, as per rule you have to give. Exception, denial should be an exception. It should not happen normally. Whenever someone comes with a bail application, ideally should be given, but only in case of extreme situations you can deny it. That is the bail rule that we have in India. We have those rules, but there are glaring inconsistencies over who gets bail, who is denied, and at what stage. Glaring means something that is clearly visible and something that is bad. Something that is bad as well as clearly visible. That is called glaring. What is that? In terms of giving bail, we have glaring inconsistencies. If a rich person comes, he will immediately get bail. If a poor person comes, more often he is denied. And if a rich person comes, he gets bail in the early stage. For a poor person, he gets it at a later stage. That is why they are saying glaring inconsistencies. Rich versus poor. It is not common for everyone. A separate law may provide a common reference point. If you bring a separate law, probably we might have a common reference point with respect to when to give bail and when not to. But whether it will put an end to the country's unstated rule. What is unstated rule? What is unstated? Something that is not stated but something that is followed. That is unstated rule. What is it? Show me the man and I will show you the law. The law is based on the person. If it's a rich person, the law behaves in a different way. If it's a poor person, the law behaves in another way. So, with this new bail act, can it end this unstated law? We don't know. Whether it will fade away, we don't know. The state of magistracy also requires an overhaul. Overhaul means complete change. Today, the magistrates under the influence of government are routinely denying bail to most of the political vendetta cases. See, magistrates seem conditioned to authorize mechanical remand whenever someone is produced before them. Whenever someone is produced, they are authorizing remand. Very, very important point. They are authorizing remand, which means custody. They are authorizing remand in a mechanical manner. And to decline bail as soon as the prosecutor opposes it. Very, very important point. See, how does things happen? In reality, you have government on the other hand versus a person. So, on behalf of government, there will be one public prosecutor. On the behalf of accused, there will be one defense lawyer. Right? In such cases, whenever defense lawyer always tries to get bail, and public prosecutor opposes it. Right? He opposes it. And this magistrate, the moment public prosecutor opposes the bail, he immediately declines. That's what is happening in India. So they are acting according to the whims and fancies of governments. Magistrates are also under the political influence of government. That is the statement that editorial is trying to say. That is why this magistracy requires an overhaul. And they are also sending people to remand instead of giving bail. Therefore, it is indeed welcome that the court has made it clear that bail can be considered even without a formal application at the stage of production before the court. Even before producing the person in front of court, you can still apply for bail. Even without application, bail can be granted or bail can be considered. That is the statement here. See, look at this. I'll explain it in a detailed manner. Whenever a police arrests a person, he produces him in front of magistrate, and magistrate decides whether to produce him in front of court or you can give bail. So what the magistrates are directly sending them to judicial remand, asking them to produce before court. After that, bail application is being considered. Now, Supreme Court is saying even before producing the person before court, magistrate can authorize bail. Which means an early application of bail can also be considered. That is what they are trying to say here. Very, very important point. Or when a person responds to summons or warrant. If you are sending summons or warrant to someone to come and attend before you, even then a bail application can be sought. More than the law, the police must first put an end to the practice of reflexively arresting first and then fishing for possible offence. Very, very important. What is reflexive? Immediately whenever political pressure comes, police are immediately going ahead and in a reflexive manner, someone says go and arrest, they are going and arresting them and then trying to find out then trying to fish out. What is the meaning of fishing? Searching for a possible offense. Under what offense? What is the offense? First of all, you have to figure out under what offense you are arresting. But police are first arresting and then trying to figure out under what offense, what is the possible offense under which I can put him in jail. So this is the political vendetta that happens here in India. So it must stop. The political vendetta or political revenge politics must stop, and we have to respect rule of law. That's about it. Take care. Bye.